We are back. You guys want to say hi and then we'll hit the intro?
Hi.
Feels so good to be back on the horn with Jared. Oh man, I've forgotten the intros already. Jared, the ultimate stud, and
No,
AJ
not
Herschel,
quite.
the kid. It's been too long. You guys got to put them by your names or something. And my name is Judah Buddha, and we are the RotoHackers, your unofficial something or other for fantasy football.
Off to a great start already.
Beautiful. Nailed it. Right.
How are you guys doing?
Right
Have you guys been doing any fantasy football lately? Have you done a lot of drafts? Where are you guys where are you guys in your finest fantasy football career right now?
I mean, I just, of course, already have too many teams.
Oh no!
Of course. I expect nothing less. How many are we looking at this year? Ballpark.
I gotta keep it under. Like I said, I was gonna keep it to 15. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna keep it under 20. I think.
Okay, there you go.
How about you?
I haven't had any drafts yet, actually, which I know is crazy, but some leagues that I have are dying off. I have my first draft tomorrow, and then one of them is just, I don't know what. One of them, for some reason, the invite isn't working for anyone, and so now we're having to troubleshoot that whole thing. But yeah, I honestly forgot that I had to actually draft teams until the beginning of August, and I went, "Oh yeah,
wow.
The NFL starts in a month. I forgot about that."
Well, there has been a lot going on in the world, so there's always stuff. Life gets crazy, so yeah. I kind of wish I had that mentality or that that lack of thinking about it, because then I just. What's that?
No, I was just going to say, which is rare for me. That never happens.
Yeah. Yahoo didn't open up the drafts as early this year. So I thought that might help me a little bit. I mean, well, they had Best Ball open, but
True.
They didn't open up the Prize League drafts for a while. I don't know if they were just sort of figuring things out because, I mean, we have a fair amount that's different this year with just with the schedule where we've got 17 games this year. So so instead of the playoffs being on weeks 15 and 16 like they have been forever, they're on weeks 16 and 17. So I don't know if they were reconfiguring some of that or what, but yeah, they didn't open till later, but that still hasn't really stopped me from having a ton of teams.
Well, what about in you? All this drafting, who are you? Is there anybody that you are just you see yourself drafting over and over again?
Well, I can tell you some of that, but what about you? How many teams do you have so far? Or
I've
you
only been doing best ball.
Oh.
And I have a dynasty league. I have 2 dynasty leagues that they never go away. But
no prized league teams so far, huh?
No. I promised myself only 6 leagues this year. Remember, you guys are supposed to hold me to that.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have the. I think I have over 6 leagues. If you count the dynasty leagues, I already have over 6 leagues that I'm. That we have to talk about our draft.
Yeah.
But a guy I tend to be. I'll tell you this: a guy I'm drafting a lot is Kamara, and a guy that I want to draft more of, but I just always miss him is oh gosh, what's his name?
We're back.
You're missing him.
back.
You're missing him because you can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name. That's probably the big problem there. What's his name? The running back for the Ravens.
J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
J.K. I was thinking J.P. because J.P.U. You're anyway. So J.K. Dobbins, I've been really trying to get, but not hard enough apparently. Just have barely any of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some J.K. Dobbins, but he keeps going for more than I would like. Well, like in auction drafts, he keeps going for a little more than I want to pay, and then in snake drafts, the picks I get tend to be my snake drafts. I just rarely ever get like great picks. I feel like I'm drafting like 5 through 10 or something like that always. So. So he's normally then going early in that 3rd round or something like that. So I just haven't been able to get him there either. So a guy that I did not really expect to be drafting much of this year, but have ended up drafting a fair amount of him in auction leagues for a couple of reasons. Ended up actually being Christian McCaffrey because last year he was just cost prohibitive. I mean, he was going after the year that he had the previous season. Yeah, he was just going for insane amounts. Like in some leagues, you just like $90+ you were spending close to half your budget. Now, for the most part, I think maybe with one exception that I've seen so far, but for the most part, he's typically going in that like 72 to 75, 76 range, which is still insanely expensive. Yeah. But if he is healthy and plays like he has, I mean, then the value is so big. And the thing that makes me feel a little bit better is that we saw last year with the way the Panthers used Mike Davis, that like even Mike Davis could be very productive for them. So Mike Davis is gone now in Atlanta, but they drafted Chuba Hubbard out of, can't remember if it was Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. But he looked really good in their preseason game. And so it seems like a case where if Christian McCaffrey got hurt, you got to handcuff.
Cuba, yeah. He looks good.
Yeah.
At least in the preseason. It's hard to tell, though.
Yeah. But for running backs, it's not quite. It's not like a quarterback playing, second team defense, and the defense doesn't want to like figure out, or they don't want to show their schemes and stuff like that. So I don't know. So that's made me feel better. So I've drafted more of Christian McCaffrey than I expected to. And then I've gotten actually several shares of Saquon Barkley. Again, not somebody that I really went in looking to target, but like he was in some auction drafts and stuff going for like $47, $48. And like, man, if he's healthy and play, I mean, the value is just hard to pass up. So guys I end up drafting a lot of times are not, I don't always go in looking to draft a specific person. I mean, there's some, but a lot of times it's like, all right, who do I think is a much better value than what they're going for? So.
Yeah, that's interesting about Saquon. Like, it was a roller coaster for me because I was like, when I think I don't know if we talked about it. I talked about it to somebody where I was getting him in like really, I think I was getting him in the 3rd round at some point. People were really down on him when some of the first news came out on him. And I was like, I guess I hadn't heard the news about him not playing or something. So I was like, whoa, I was picking up, and then I heard the news. I was like, no. And then he's playing first week. I'm like, yes. So, it's been a roller coaster. What about you, AJ? Have you been doing any drafts, mock drafts, what have you?
Mock drafts, sure, but like I told Jared, I haven't done any lives yet. None of my leagues have drafted yet. I haven't added any. I'm saving one of them. I always do one NFL.com public league for the comedy of it, because this is the one where Jimmy Garoppolo got drafted in the 1st round and the Rams defense in the 2nd round. So that one I'm saving for right before the season starts. But for me, I'm trying to take as much Devonta Smith as I can, because he's ranked 150 right now. And a lot
Yeah, you
he
can
will
get him
get
for
taken
0.
earlier every now and then because some people like rookie wide receivers. But that is one thing that I've noticed a lot of times. Yahoo doesn't like rookie wide receivers that much. They'll shoot up running backs top 20, top 30 as soon as they land on a team. Trey Sermon's sitting at like 50s right now, even though most are still supposed to be number 1. But wide receivers, they'll fall all the way past 100. So a lot of times I find myself taking a lot of more rookie wide receivers. Of course, not Jamar Chase, but a lot of rookie wide receivers in the later rounds because I feel like they have such a good value. And this is not just me riding on the back of my Justin Jefferson excitement from last year, but I really like taking Smith, especially. I find myself staying away from a couple of other players. I don't like Zeke still. Saquon, I get scared still. I don't like where Mixon's going. I worry about Najee Harris as much as I love him as a player. I don't know how it's going to work in Pittsburgh's offense. So I'm actually finding myself taking more wide receiver in second and third round than running back, just because the options that are there, I'm just not a huge fan of, to be honest. Like I said, don't like Mixon, don't like Najee. So if someone takes Eckler, Gibson's gone. I'd rather wait till second or third round and just grab a good one grab a good running back round 1 instead. Yeah, I just get nervous. I'd rather take Dobbins round 4.
Yeah, there's some good value there in the 3rd, 4th round, I think. You said something. Oh, I'm a little worried about there's a good reason that these wide receivers are so low. There's just so many wide receivers,
Yeah.
And why take a chance on a rookie when you could get Hardman in the 11th round,
It is pick 120 though. So I mean, at that point, you're trying to just get the best value for the player that's there.
And that's true. And the upside, I guess, is a lot higher. The ceiling is a lot higher for these rookies. I have a lot of in my dynasty where we have rookie dynasties. I have a lot of Rondell Moore and the other Moore. What's his name?
DJ
Moore. No, not DJ Moore. The rookie.
Oh, no.
He is with the Jets.
Oh, Elijah
Moore. Yeah.
Elijah Moore, Rondell Moore, and I have a lot of what's his name? Trey Sermon. I thought early on, I thought Trey Sermon was going to be. Now I still think he's going to start eventually, and maybe sooner than later. But now I'm starting to look more at Williams in as far as running backs. But we're talking about wide receivers. Oh, Waddle. I have a lot of Waddle.
Waddle.
Is it just Waddle?
It's just Waddle. Yeah.
Although, I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting. My feelings about those wide receivers, the rookie wide receivers, it just goes up and down. Rondell Moore has actually been the steadiest up for me. Just watching him in the preseason, seeing him get a lot of play, used a lot of ways, but there's a lot of mouths to feed there, so it's hard. Yeah. What do you think, Jared, about wide receivers, rookie wide receivers?
I tend to not really go in on the rookie wide receivers that hard. A lot of the guys that I look for or am drafting this year are, guys maybe going into their second or third year, or that have had a situation change. So, obviously you don't get those quite as high or you don't get those quite as low as the rookie wide receivers, but I think, they can still be, good values. So some of the guys that, I'm kind of looking at this year, and some of them are up pretty high. I mean, these aren't like value picks, but I'm just looking at guys who could potentially, outperform where they're even going is like somebody like Robert Woods in LA where he's now got Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
I think there's better potential for him to maybe take a jump up more into putting up like Chris Godwin type numbers or something like that. Going on down farther as far as values and stuff go, again, like some of those second year guys, are intriguing. Like I think CeeDee Lamb's going crazy high. I mean, he may match that value, but I mean, it's still
you're gonna get him at value, right? Like there's not a lot.
Like I think the best case scenario is you get him at value where he's going. But I think there's other guys, the second year guys that are, Chase Claypool or Brandon Ayuk or T Higgins, guys like that who can, potentially end up being, really outperforming, I think, where they're getting drafted. So I'm looking at some of those guys. Sometimes I'll take I'm trying to think if I have any. I rarely get like a top receiver. I normally just go, spend that pick or money on a running back. And maybe in an auction draft or something like that, or a snake draft, I'll take a receiver at the top of the third round, somebody like a DK Metcalf or Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley, if they're there. But for the most part, I find myself drafting a lot of guys like, as my number one and number two receivers, like Amari Cooper or a Keenan Allen or some of those guys, and then coming back with a Deontay Johnson or something like that, where because like we always talk about, there are just so many receivers, and apart from a handful of them, you never know year to year, like which ones are going to be the one to dip, which ones are the ones to go up. And with so many shots at it, it's tough for me to not put more value on running back and tight end early in those first, 3 or 4 rounds.
I agree. But it seems like a lot of them are getting a lot of recognition because a lot of these guys, I feel like the wide receivers went to better places than the rookie running backs. In other words, some of these wide receivers, I guess, like Elijah Moore in particular. I mean, who else is catching the ball there?
I mean, I don't know, because I think he would have to. Sort of show out a little bit. I mean, and he may, because you're right. There's no other great players there, but they signed Corey Davis. And Corey Davis was coming off of a year with the Titans. They still have Jamison Crowder, who was like the ultimate gobble up every target. So rookie wide receivers still sort of scare me a little bit. But
what about the running backs? How are you guys feeling about the running backs? Because I'm actually really excited. Not necessarily. I kind of share your reservations, AJ, about Najee, and actually Etienne too. I'm feeling a little worried about who really has gone up. The up chart for me is Sermon, and now Williams up in with the Broncos. I just feel like he's got the talent. Everything else is crumbling around him as far as the other running backs, and Locke looked good. I don't know if you guys saw him in the preseason, but he looked sharp. And not saying that he's going to be somebody to go out and get, for your fantasy team, Locke, but I think that was one of my main concerns about that team, and it's assuaged my fears as far as the I feel like they're at least going to be kind of a 8-8 team. How many games are there now? 17.
So they would be a 9. Are they going to be an 8?
I don't know.
Are they going to be an 8? Are they going to be an 8-9 team or a 9-8 team?
Or an 8-8-1 team, and just mess with all of our heads.
Yeah.
They could do that. Well, so AJ, are there any rookie running backs? Because you mentioned Najee, and you mentioned you were talking about how you kind of had just the same problems with Etienne. So what about some of the these other guys?
Yeah, it's interesting that my two favorite running backs in the draft, both I'm wary of to draft. I like Etienne well enough, but I still am not convinced that Robinson's just going to give up the number one job just willingly after the year he had. He ran for 1,000 yards in his rookie season. How do we know that he's not going to take the starting job easy? So I worry about Etienne, especially where he's going right now, like 6th round. And then I like Najee as a player. But Pittsburgh, don't know how he's going to work out. 2nd round, no. Like you said, I think Trey Sermon's my favorite out of all of them. And even Javonte Williams, like I had Melvin Gordon last year. He was only usable half of the weeks of this season. And I don't know how much of that was him and how much of that is Denver's weird, banged up offense. So I like Sermon the most because at least I know he's going to get playing time because the 49ers hate running back consistency. And Raheem Mostert apparently has bum ankles for every second half of the season before he comes back in week 14. So I like Sermon because I feel like he's got the best chance to play out of absolutely all of the rookie running backs when it comes week 2, week 3. Or not the best chance to play because I know Najee's obviously starting, but I mean, for what
Najee
position
and
he's
Carter
in right now.
Carter is going to be starting.
True, but where's Michael Carter playing? New York. Yep. And the Jets, and I
don't know. I think Jets aren't going to be so bad.
But that means I have to go against Buffalo's front 7 twice a year, Patriots front 7 twice a year, and Miami's front 7 twice a year. I don't like having those 6 garbage matchups on my on my upcoming schedule.
That's true.
I agree. Well, I agree, but at the same time, I think the more I start thinking about defensive lines and stuff like that, it just feels like a lot of divisions are rough places to play. Like, I think we've talked about before, like being in the NFC North, then you get if you're Joe Mixon, which I always have worries with Joe Mixon, period, the Bengals offensive line, all that, his injuries. But then you get the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns. And if you're on one of those other teams, you still get 2 of those teams twice a year. And NFC West, then, there you've got the 49ers front, you've got the Rams front, Cardinals and Seahawks are not terrible. So it seems like it starts, I tell you, the running back world every year just seems like it becomes more of a minefield because it seems like front 7 defenses get better, and it seems like there are fewer and fewer, truly safe running backs to draft, like guys that you don't have to worry about being in a committee or guys that you don't have to worry as much about injury issues or whatever. So running back, I mean, every year I think there's going to be like a bounce up with it. We're like, oh, this year's better. This year's better in terms of being able to identify running backs who are safe for picks, and every year it gets worse.
Yeah. That's true, and that may be not maybe. It is why somebody was talking about doing 0 RB in their draft yesterday. One of my friends. I feel like
nah.
There's something. There's 2 sides of it, right? There's that those elite ones at the top. A lot of them are going to disappoint you. So if you do 0 RB, you need to get 7 RBs. You need to get 7 running backs that they need to be Trace. They need to be Trey Sermon. They need to be J.K. Dobbins. They need to be that caliber. And just a huge collection of them. You don't want to be messing with any. What's that guy? He used to be on Denver. That little guy, but
Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, Philip Lindsay. Thank you,
my guy.
I wouldn't be messing with Philip Lindsay and Hunt. Getting I mean, those guys could actually have high upside, but your floor is Okay, well, I think I'm kind of curious what you guys think about. There's some bad news coming in about not bad news. I'll say this: I've heard some shade, or some negative assessment of the rookie quarterbacks. Actually, I heard one of my favorite guys, Greg Cosell, talking about a lot of the guys that have been in the preseason. His favorite was your guy, Jared.
Oh yeah,
He's not a rookie.
he's not a rookie. He for all intents and purposes he
I
is.
mean,
But, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, he played.
But,
He played.
Eastman.
Yeah, Jacob Eason. Yeah,
Eason,
he played. He essentially played 2 years of college.
Yeah.
Slightly over 2 years of college because he started at a second season at Georgia right before he got hurt. But then last year, you know, he got no snaps during the pandemic as a, you know, which it was a weird situation where they didn't have much of an offseason anyway. And then he was behind Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, he is a rookie. See, I don't know. It seems like to me like the rookie quarterback situation is really exciting though. You know, like I mean with Trevor Lawrence, you know, and I mean I know that you know he had one really nice throw in that preseason game, but overall, I mean it's a preseason game and there's going to be a limited amount to really show. But you know, Trey Lance had an 80-yard touchdown. Justin Fields has had a lot of buzz around him. So I mean, I'm happy with the Colts situation, all things considered, because you know Wentz may be back earlier than expected. Eason's looking good. Their 6th round pick, Sam Ellinger's looking good. But then again, at the same time, it's sort of like you know you see all these sort of like shiny, hyped up rookies like Trey Lance or Justin Fields, and it's kind of like it'd be kind of nice to have one of those. So. I mean,
well, I don't know. I mean, one of these guys at least is going to be a big disappointment, right?
Oh,
I mean,
probably.
Oh yeah, for sure. Probably more than one.
Probably only one will shine.
Or maybe, you know, and then there's Zach Wilson too, who's not drawn the greatest reviews thus far. But it's so early. I mean, Zach Wilson could turn out to be the best of them all, you know. So
actually, that's he's had now. So this is what the guys that look at the technical stuff, right? And they look at the tape, like Greg Cosell, like he's been doing it for years. His dad was doing it for years. He had the least bad to say about Wilson, but he also said that's caveated with he's also had the least snaps. You know, he's barely been out there, and he's just doing well what he did in college. You know, he didn't go down a step. Whereas somebody like Trey Lance, he's saying he didn't look very comfortable out there. And he was rushing things. He liked Fields. He said Fields, but he said that a lot of the hype is like, oh, Fields can run. So he's like, where's the scoop on that? Like everybody knows Fields can run. That's not the question. The question is whether he can command a football team, you know, and he's got the athleticism out the wazoo, you know,
and he's got the arm too, you know. I mean, like true. He can sling the ball far, but it's, you know, but I mean, of course, Jacob Eason doesn't have the mobility, but he's got a rocket arm. Yeah. He's got an elite arm. But the question then is, and why we've seen Tom Brady, who, I mean, has a good arm, but, you know, why we've seen Tom Brady able to win, you know, 7 Super Bowls now, and why he was able to do it with another team, and why he's playing into his 40s is his ability to read the field and make adjustments. And that's where, you know, Eason sort of struggles right now. And so, you know, it's almost kind of like when I hear rocket arm anymore, I'm just like, okay, yeah, just about a dime a dozen, because it doesn't really, that's not what's going to make the difference. It's whether or not you can become, you know, a really sort of cerebral player, or at least just get close enough to it where your mobility and your arm and everything else are, you know, it augments those to where, you know, you could be like a Patrick Mahomes or something like that. So, so yeah, it's just, I mean, the big arm just doesn't impress me anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, AJ, you guys look like you have, I mean, they packed out
Yeah.
Soldier Field for
Oh,
that
yeah.
game, for
Oh,
that
yeah.
preseason game, it looks like Chicago at least believes that we have the second coming of the
Sammy
first coming of
Baugh,
any
is that who
kind
you're
of
looking
good.
for?
I have no idea if there's ever been any good quarterback at Chicago.
Yeah,
Not in my
it
time.
was 1920. He played linebacker as well. Look, I'm
Oh,
not sure how
mercy.
much of it is actual genuine hype and how much of it is just relief that we got a quarterback who's not in just the basic
Yeah.
QB1 sits in pocket archetype, throws 20 times a game. So I'm not sure how much of it is just pure delirium from Chicago, still over the fact we did something in the draft. I like Fields. He's Dalton stole Travis Kelce's beard, and that's pretty much all I can say about him.
I like the beard.
It doesn't look bad, yeah. New look for season 2. I just don't know how to feel because Fields, depending on when he starts, is going to get put through the ringer immediately because the Bears have one of the toughest schedules in football this year.
Yeah.
So I like the best place to start him to me is like, look, if it's 3 weeks and Dalton's not doing well, he's out of there. And I don't know. I like taking maybe one rookie quarterback as a backup, take a shot in the dark. Why not? See what happens. What's the worst that could happen? They end up not playing well and you drop him for a different backup later. Like there's never a shortage. Like we talked about last year, there was 50 different quarterbacks you could get on the waiver wire by the time we got to the middle of the season. I don't necessarily think that's going to go away. So I like Fields. I like his play style. He had a rough start, but at second half of the game, he was lights out, running ability, vision. Dolphins defense trying to do their best imitation of cover 0. So I like Fields. I like Fields well, and I like him. I like how he played week 1, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It is preseason still, so
I got a kick out of Andy Dalton's comment where, I mean, he's got to say it, and he's got to have confidence in himself, but it's no less funny. Where he's basically, saying like, yeah, I want people to support everybody on our team and Justin, and Justin's going to have a great career, but this is my time. And I was just sitting there thinking like, there's never a time that's Andy Dalton time. Andy Dalton time is always like 30 minutes ago. That was Andy Dalton time. Perpetually 30 minutes ago.
Perpetually.
Well, it was a little cringy in the sense that, I mean, even if you were to say it was my time, like he did have his time. I mean, he was the starting quarterback for a major franchise.
Yeah. I just feel like he's gotten asked these questions for the last 6 months. Like as soon as he got drafted. Well, have fun playing the Rams defense in week 1, Andy Dalton. I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's the thing is, he is going to get some time, I think, because they don't want to just throw Justin Fields out. They basically, they're gonna give Andy Dalton enough time to show why they need to switch to Justin Fields.
Rams, Bengals, Browns. There's his front load. That's his first 3 games. Yeah,
probably so. I mean, I think you're right. I could see like week 4 against the Lions, week 5 against the Raiders. Maybe there's a chance even that Dalton is so bad because I mean he did not look good with the Cowboys. That maybe they let him take the hit with the Rams, and then they give Fields the Bengals. I mean, because the Bengals aren't that scary, I don't think. And I mean, I know then you've got the Browns and Myles Garrett coming after that, but and
isn't it Jadeveon Clowney now? Am I wrong about that? Isn't it both of them?
Actually, I think you're right. I'd forgotten about that. So that's not ideal. But I could see them being like, okay, well, we got one rough one, and then in between like the Bengals and then the Lions and the Raiders and the Packers, none of those are that scary. But I mean, then after
the Packers are because they just always are mentally for Chicago. yeah.
But I mean, in terms of like pass rushers and stuff like that, because Because, I mean, then after that, just looking at the schedule, then you've got Bucks, 49ers, Steelers, Ravens. So it's not like if they just get past that first couple of games, like, oh, we're good. So, they're going to have to throw him out there. So I could see a scenario where, even like game 2, he's in there. So we'll see.
Mercy. Well, let's stay on the
Well,
Bears
we
for a
need
little
it.
bit. Well, I'll say this. I think that Fields could really play. I think he's better than Dalton. I think he's better than Nick Foles, and in the sense that he's gonna what do you call it? He's gonna be able to use the wide open lanes to run where Nick wouldn't even take a step forward. And he's going to be able to see I think he's got that rocket arm that everybody's talking about. He's going to be able to get the ball downfield. It's just like you guys. I think it's really important what you're saying, Jared. About comes down to NFL NFL IQ, being able to read the field, being able to go to your second and third read and not panic. And that's some of the things that are coming out in the preseason is that they're just sticking with their first read, and they just get just hyper focused on their first read, and you just can't do that in the NFL because coaches are trying to take that away.
Yeah,
they're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I'm kind of curious on your guys' thoughts about the Bears. Their running back situation there.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's we only have what's his name?
David Montgomery.
Yeah. Montgomery. Looks like Dave Montgomery's the main guy.
Oh yeah.
For fantasy, let's get back on track with fantasy here is having a mobile quarterback with Fields, or if he's got Dalton, are you guys looking at Montgomery at all when he's coming up he comes up in the fourth round, something like that?
Third, I think he's sitting right now.
Third?
I think he's sitting mid-third round.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, that's it's sometimes second round.
Yeah. I'll just say mine pretty quick, and then let our bear defer to our Bears expert. So coming into the season, there were a couple of guys that I was curious to see, and I guess initially they were ranked a little bit lower, of thinking like, oh, okay, maybe a couple of these guys could be sort of like my Chris Carson pick from a couple years ago, where Carson was going about the 5th round, and I was like, oh, I think that's a really good value for him. So those guys were Montgomery and Miles Gaskin for the Dolphins.
Yes.
So then Montgomery has jumped up into the 3rd round, and I'm like, well, this isn't as. I mean, again, in a landscape of, just like if you see a running back, it's like an oasis in the desert, where it's like, oh, a starting running back with the bulk of the carries. But so it is easy to overvalue that. I had him on some teams, and he was that last 4 weeks of the season, that last month of the season, where he just had trash defenses to just run all over, was awesome. But it's hard to count on that this year. And they added Damian Williams. I don't know how I don't know how Chicago will use him.
Yeah.
Kansas City really liked him, so I don't know how much he's going to eat into carries. And then not to get off topic, but just the other guy I mentioned, Gaskin, like now all of a sudden, Gaskin may just be part of a full rotational committee with Malcolm Brown and all these guys. And so two guys that I was like, ooh, those could be, depending on how it all falls, maybe like good 5th round picks or something like that. No, that's not for different reasons. It's not working out that way. So I still have some shares of Montgomery in my leagues because, I mean, again, he is a starting running back. He's not in the most intimidating division. So, I think he's still worth drafting, but he's not he's not the value that I hoped he would be in fantasy drafts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Montgomery for the volume I'm sure he's going to get. Bears promised a lot of things. Promised Andy Dalton QB1. Promised David Montgomery that he's going to get 15 to 20 carries a game. So if that holds up, I mean, at the very least, he's going to get a bunch of yards, I would assume. We rebuilt our entire offensive line this offseason, which I'm scared because we got 39-year-old Jason Peters to be our left tackle, and that's something, I'll tell you. But
is he really 39?
He's 39, yeah.
Wow.
He's old. Which, man, that's going to be fun. All I can see in my head is Kyle Long injury flashing in my brain. But I like his end of the season schedule again. I know, Jared, you've got me in the habit of looking at playoff schedules now. And his final three are Vikings, Seahawks, and Giants. Is a little bit tougher, but it's not a terrible three to end the season off of. It's just that middle section of, have fun playing Tampa and San Francisco and Pittsburgh and Baltimore in a row.
Yeah, it seems like everyone has those teams this year. It's like it feels like Tampa and Baltimore and Pittsburgh and the Rams all are playing like 40 something games because they're playing everyone, and like every running back that you look at to try to get like, is this guy? Oh no, he's got Tampa 6 times. How does that schedule even work out? So.
Yeah,
it's true. Oh man. Well, speaking of what are the divisions? Because I was looking at schedules, and it looked like the Colts and the New York Giants had pretty good schedules. Of course, that division, right?
Well, if the Giants have a good schedule, that division's wide open. I mean, yeah, Washington's going to be the front runner, sure, but. Is Dak going to be the same? He had to go get an MRI. It's just the preseason already. I mean, and then you look at Philadelphia, they're missed. Dak had to get an MRI on his shoulder. Because he pulled something. And then Philadelphia is just a mess. So, I mean, the Giants don't have the hardest outlook on their season. I may not like their wide receiver core because they got literally every single person off the street they could this year to have an 8-man rotation or whatever they're running at the slot receiver. But, I mean, if Daniel Jones can throw the football 15 times a game and Saquon's back, Giants might not be bad for fantasy.
Who would you take on the Giants, though, if they do have a good...
I mean, Galladay's surprisingly low I think, for wide receivers.
But he's already injured.
Very high. Yeah, but I mean, that could be a later season play, though. You pick him up, wait a couple of weeks. I mean, he's theoretically number one wide receiver. He is the best option they have there by far.
Little Sterling Shepard.
Not again.
The Giants have. The Giants always just amaze me with like the number of just like okay weapons.
Yes.
And so, they still have Sterling Shepard. They still have don't they still have Slayton?
They do.
Okay.
Yep,
as far as I know.
Do they? I don't know if they do.
I think they do. Let me see. I'm very invested in the New York Giants wide receiver core now.
This
is horrible. Okay, you ready for this? Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Kadarius Toney, Dante Pettis, and John Ross III.
Yeah.
Not to mention Evan Ingram.
So I guess.
How many of those guys are injured right now? Maybe that's what it is. Slayton's injured, I think, already.
No, I think Galladay is the one. I'm just looking at the depth chart, and so Galladay and then Toney are kind of banged up. John Ross is always hurt. So I mean, Ross doesn't scare me. A lot of those guys don't scare me, but I mean, you've got 4 guys. I mean, Galladay's not like a volume guy. Galladay is sort of a big play guy, but then again, so is Slayton. So then you've got Shepard and then Toney, who's the rookie, who's the exciting rookie. Then you've got Evan Ingram, who when when he
No.
plays
No.
is good. Okay, let's go a step further. They signed Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah.
So now they've got
who does have a broken foot now, but still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you've got, outside of Christian McCaffrey, basically probably like the number one receiving running back in Saquon Barkley, if he's out there. And so it just feels like Galladay, I agree. Like Galladay was someone who I was like, I think he's going to be undervalued this year. Yeah. And then we got into it and I'm like, gosh, I don't know, for everything that the Giants have and the fact that it's Daniel Jones throwing to him and not, Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
And Galladay's just always banged up. So I don't know, like he's never, his most, so he had 70 catches his 2018 year. He had 65 in 2019, and he was basically on pace for about probably 65 last year. So he doesn't catch a ton of balls. He does get, typically the downfield yards and touchdowns are kind of here or there, but I don't know. The more I looked at that situation, the more Kenny Galladay started to scare me.
Yeah.
But it is a terrible division still. If I had to pick somebody out of that division, like I could see just like Washington, depending on how things go, like Washington could maybe run away with it, because I mean, Fitzpatrick will have his ups and downs, but if Dak isn't healthy, or Dak has some problems, or the Cowboys defense, just turns into a pile of garbage as it sometimes does. The Eagles, you can't count on the Eagles. The Eagles got a lot of unknowns. The Giants,
Daniel Jones has thrown more interceptions than he's played in games.
Nice.
Wow.
So I could see Washington with that defense, with Antonio Gibson, with Terry McLaurin, with Logan Thomas at tight end. They signed Curtis Samuel. So I think if Fitzpatrick can play, sort of a solid level, like Washington can do some stuff.
Oh yeah.
This might be the best crew that Fitzpatrick has ever had.
In a while, maybe. Well, Miami, maybe.
I mean,
Miami.
I mean, didn't he have when he was in Tampa? Didn't he have both Evans and Godwin then?
He did. That's true. That is true.
I mean, like he's been so many places. Like that's a scary statement to me, because you'd have to basically conduct like a federal background investigation to find like all the teams he's been with and all the guys he's played with.
Oh yeah. See, I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but Bleacher Report did they always make jokes about Ryan Fitzpatrick. And so the Browns had like a whole Groundhog Day situation where every time they made it to the playoffs, their team got worse because it upset the natural order of Cleveland. And so Ryan Fitzpatrick is advising Baker Mayfield, like, you can't keep doing this. Every time you do this, everything gets worse. You never played on the Browns, Ryan. What? How?
Oh, mercy.
What about, I mean, we've talked about some of this, like more so with rookies or whatever, but what are, not maybe as rookie focused, like some guys that you're looking at as, again, I've started to hate the term sleepers too. But some guys that, you think like maybe somebody like an AJ Dillon or something like that, who's not getting looked at, as much, like, oh, that's Aaron Jones's job, but maybe it turns out that Dillon ends up being the goal line back, or maybe it turns out, Jones gets hurt, or, some guys that, you think are going to perform above their draft position.
Yeah. I like Pollard really late round. I think he's one of the best handcuffs there. I still don't know if I trust Zeke, especially with Pollard's great end to the year last year. Another one, both of the Bucks running backs are right next to each other, so I always get scared about that. But
three of them really.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because Bruce Arians was raving about Giovanni Bernard.
Yes,
right?
that's who it was. Yep.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen there? I like Kenyon Drake, honestly. He's like the 40th running back right now.
Mhm.
And as much as Jacobs gets messed up knees, I don't think he's a bad grab in later rounds as well. I liked Gaskin, like you, especially because he carried me at the end of last year. But as soon as Brian Flores said we'll use by committee or whatever word he used, I was like, all right, I'm not drafting him anywhere now. I can't use that statement around me. Committees, I hate with every fiber of every bone in my body.
Mhm.
And then after that, David Johnson, his situation's garbage. But like you said, he's a starting running back in the NFL. And for the value he's going at, he's like running back 40 or something like that. It's ridiculous to me. And he didn't have a bad year last year. Clearly with a better team. No, it's about the same. With about the same team, he didn't have a terrible year. He was a fine flex play against good matchups. So I like David Johnson in later rounds. I think he is way undervalued for a starter right now. What about you?
Well, just on the David Johnson topic, like it's amazing. Like I think of David Johnson as like current David Johnson. I forget like how amazing he was with that one season, and that one season with the Cardinals, like what a disappointment of like where his, career has gone due to injuries and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas it's kind of, I guess maybe because Todd Gurley had more good years. I still can think of Todd Gurley as like peak Todd Gurley, as opposed to just, now probably won't be on a roster or whatever. But yeah, some of those guys, I mean, it's just sort of the intriguing situations of seeing what happens with maybe the guy ahead of them, like, with the Ravens, like if something happened to Dobbins, like, Gus Edwards, what's Gus Edwards going to look like? Again, like I mentioned, AJ Dillon, and not really knowing what the situation is going to be there in Green Bay exactly, because they used Jamal Williams was a very different running back, and they used him as more of like sometimes the pass catching back over Aaron Jones. Well, AJ Dillon's a different skill set, and so is Aaron Jones gonna do more of the pass catching, and then maybe Dillon do more of the grinding. Detroit.
Yeah. Speaking of Jamal Williams,
him and Swift. Yeah, I was blanking up. How are they going to use the two of them? Because they kind of describe Jamal Williams as more of like an A back, which is weird. I don't really think of him that way, but I think there are a lot of situations out there where you're just sort of looking to see, or is there going to be any real clarity, and you're going to have to wait probably into the season to kind of get it. Buffalo, New England. I mean, we could just go down the list. Like New England, is Damian Harris going to be is he going to get like a lead back role? Buffalo, will Moss, people were thinking last year Zach Moss would sort of distinguish himself and kind of seize that job more. He didn't. And then worse yet, like because Josh Allen vultures so many goal line touchdowns, it kind of killed Moss's value. So, it just feels like there's more uncertainty this year, and you just have to kind of go in with your best guesses, and you're just going to have to see how the season shakes out.
And speaking of running backs in New England, what is up with their run game? Like the Patriots have looked like one of the best teams in football, and I get that it's preseason, but still, I don't know who JJ Taylor is, but he rushed for 99 yards, And I don't know who Ramondre. I think it's Ramondre. Ramondre Stevenson, he's rushed for like 300 yards in 2 games, which makes me think, is this just preseason they're playing well against a third-string Eagles defense, or now that the Patriots actually have everybody healthy and didn't lose half their team, is their offensive line actually going to be so good that their run game is going to be great? Because that shoots up Damian Harris for me in that instance.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. And I haven't really paid close attention to those preseason games. I've had them on in the background and watched bits and pieces, mostly out of curiosity. Well, mostly just to have football back.
Right.
but partly to see, anytime there's an opportunity to see one of these rookie quarterbacks, I'm like, okay, well, what's Mac Jones going to do? So I don't know if a lot of that has been designed to just sort of give him limited, throws and stuff like that. So, it is sort of sketchy. Another question I have, what do we think of the tight end landscape this year? So last year, or at least I thought, I don't remember what you guys thought. But like, okay, maybe this is a year where we're going to see some more guys kind of close that gap, where it's not just going to be like Travis Kelce and George Kittle and everybody else. Yeah. We're going to see, more guys like, maybe Noah Fant, maybe Mark Andrews, who was already, coming off of a good 2019 year, Hawkinson, all these different guys. Maybe more of them are going to jump up, and Tyler Higbee, who finished 2019 on a tear. Maybe we're going to have more of a, it's going to be spread out a little bit more, as opposed to just those 1 or 2 elite guys. That didn't really happen. It was still mostly Kelce, and Waller had a very good season, but it still wasn't like a Kelce season. Kittle stayed hurt, and some of the other guys, were solid, but either took a step back or didn't really just play up to where we thought they could be. So what do we think of it this year?
Well, I'll say that I am real skeptical of Kelce. I think everybody's going gaga for Kelce, seeing him go in the first round. And just I don't know. I just feel like if everything goes right, he's worth it. He is worth it if he does. But the problem is just how many times in our history have we seen a fantasy football player do so well, so consistently over and over again, right? There's going to be a fall off.
Yeah.
And the number one is typically not the number one the next year. And and so I'm not saying that he's going to be a big bust. I'm just saying it's just a big, to me, I factor that risk in to the I don't want to pay a first round for him. And then it just seems like everybody down Kittle and Pitts. We got to talk about Pitts. Like the question marks there. I feel like Troutman. I have a lot of Troutman. And I feel like someone like in that area right there, Troutman, maybe some Goddard. I think getting 1 or 2 of those guys, and I'd just rather pay a cheaper price for something like that. And then also the interesting thing to me is seeing Mark Andrews fall so much, and feeling like, well, he had such a bad year last year. I feel like he's due for a better year this year at least. And at his ADP, I think he's going 5th round, something like that.
It's like 5th, 6th. Yeah.
I feel like that's not a real steep price to pay for somebody who could, we've seen, be a number 1 target, for a high octane offense.
Yeah, the tight ends are really weird this year, because part of me still wants to draft Kelce out of loyalty at this point. It's like my 4th or 5th season drafting him straight if I have him again. So I'm still wanting to take him round 2. Round 1, no. Round 2, I'll think about it. But I like a lot of the later tight ends a lot. I like Logan Thomas still. And I mean, part of that was probably him running shorter routes and Alex Smith not throwing it 50 yards down the field to McLaurin. But I still like his value. He's a great receiver. He's got good red zone targets at the end of last year. I like him. I think Tanyan still have red zone targets. I like Goddard. Fant, I'm a little concerned about. I like Gesicki still. He had a good end to his season as well. And then for some reason, Jared Cook is like the 20th tight end when he's the starter in LA. And we've seen what Hunter Henry could do down there. So I don't mind taking him as a backup tight end, which I normally don't do. But if I'm in round 15 and I have one more slot, yeah, why not take a chance at a guy who could get 5 red zone targets a game with Justin Herbert and that good of a Chargers offense? It'll probably be also Keenan Allen too, who also will want to get those targets. But if he's doubled up on in the end zone, I like Jared Cook as well. And then I took Pitts in one of my mock drafts as my starter because I think he'll line up as a wide receiver. And this is really weird. I don't hate the Falcons' schedule. If this was on another team, that's a playoff team to me. I worry about Atlanta's defense, but every other game is like a cupcake for them. And I don't understand who organized their schedule. It makes no sense. They get the Eagles, then the Bucks, Giants, Washington, Jets, Dolphins. That is literally their first 6 games. It makes no sense to me. But I like Ridley, and by extension, then I like Pitts as well, depending on where he goes. I know some people like taking him higher because of the upside. I like tight ends. Yeah, he's like 50. I think I got him at 50 in one of mine, 40 or 50. But I like the tight end position this year, which is something I don't think I've ever said because there's a lot of upside here this year, I think.
Yeah, I think there's some gems. Who do you end up with mostly? I mean, I heard what you're saying. It was mostly a question, Jared, but who do you feel like you're most comfortable with?
Well, I've ended up with sort of a mix of, I have taken Kelsey in, I don't take him in auctions because you basically are paying first round money for him because he's going usually for like $50 to $55. Sometimes they'll dip into the like high 40s, but I've had in some of my snake drafts, I've had like the 8th pick or something like that. And so then coming back at like 12 or whatever it is, or 14, I can't remember. Anyway, somewhere in there, then, it's sort of a question of like, well, who do you take here? Do you kind of reach for another running back, or do you take a guy who's the biggest difference maker at what's been a thin position? It's hard to not take Travis Kelce there. So I've taken him in some of those leagues. In some of the other leagues, I think I usually end up with Pitts or Andrews because Waller still ends up going earlier or a little higher if it's an auction draft. TJ Hawkinson, who I really want to like, it's not as much about him. It's more about Jared Goff being his quarterback now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, and the team, like they don't have that many people to throw to, so maybe that is something in TJ Hawkinson's favor. But just seems like he's had some injury. Like I don't know, it just seems like he had some ankle and knee problems or stuff last year, and that kept nagging him. And I just Jared Goff and their coach just sounds like a complete idiot. Dan, I forgot his last name, but he was. I remember when the Colts were doing their search and seeing this guy and listening to him, just being like, Dan Campbell. Oh, please don't hire him. Please don't hire him. and his quotes have done nothing but just reinforce that decision of, oh, thank God we avoided him. So I've been taking a lot still of Mark Andrews or Kyle Pitts because I still want to feel like I'm getting somebody who's got some major upside for that. I think Andrews could have a bounce back year. He didn't have he had a bad year by what we were expecting from him from the year before, but Baltimore still doesn't have that many targets. They got Marquise Brown. They drafted, they drafted the kid. I can't remember his name off the top of my head either. But to be the bigger receiver, he's going to miss the first, several weeks of the season.
Mhm.
So that doesn't
Marquise
at least
Brown is injured too.
Yeah, Brown, he's a little banged up. So I still like Andrews, and I think the thing with Kyle Pitts in Atlanta is we always talk about like avoid those first year tight ends, second year tight ends, but there are a few things that make me willing to gamble on Kyle Pitts. As AJ said, the Falcons' schedule is not that intimidating, but even more so than that, Matt Ryan loves to throw to his tight end. He's always, from the time he had Tony Gonzalez, then Austin Hooper developed. He had a little bit of a time there where he didn't really have a great option, whereas like Levine, Toilolo, and guys like that. But they now with Julio gone, they don't really have like a great second option at receiver. So I think they are. I mean, Kyle Pitts has 4.4 speed. He is basically as much of a wide receiver as a tight end. I think they'll move him out. And so I think he'll put up, maybe more along the lines of rookie wide receiver numbers as opposed to rookie tight end numbers. So I've drafted a fair amount of Pitts. And then you mentioned Logan Thomas. I really like Logan Thomas as an option. Gesicki, I think even with the fact that the Dolphins offense is kind of like the Giants. It's sort of like AFC East version of the NFC East there, where you've got like Will Fuller, you've got Devontae Parker, you've got Jalen Waddle, who may eventually be great, but as a rookie is probably not going to be. You've got Gesicki, you've got all these running backs. It's just this like mashup of like people, but I think the way that Gesicki can maybe shine in that is that I just don't trust Tua to be doing that much of exciting stuff, and I think I could see him just using that safety valve more. So I like Gesicki, and one other guy I'll mention that's not getting a lot of talk, and it's hard to draft him in a 10-team league just based on the talent that's out there. But a guy that I could see being like or a guy I think you should be drafting in deeper leagues, and a guy who may be very quickly like a popular waiver pickup is Gerald Everett in Seattle. Because he left the Rams, went there. Russell Wilson likes to throw to the tight end. They've just had. It's been hard for any Seahawks tight end to put up consistent numbers because they've stayed hurt, or Jimmy Graham was old when he was there. So I think the fact that if Everett can stay healthy and just kind of be solid, I think he could put up some solid numbers there. So
not a fan of Will Dissly.
I mean, if Everett gets hurt, sure. Yeah.
The Diz, yeah. There are a lot. The landscape for a tight end is interesting, and it does feel like there's a lot of value, But of course, last year we felt the same way, right? And now this year feels a little different in the sense that last year it felt top heavy, where this year feels a little bit more balanced, or it goes further down. As far as the value or people that I'm interested in. We didn't even talk. Did we? Yeah, you mentioned Gesicki, right?
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah, I like Gesicki. I think he could have. I actually think you're talking about Tua. I think Tua could take a big step forward this season. I think he was just thrown in there last year, still dealing with getting over the injury. Still dealing with confidence issues. He didn't have COVID kept him from having real good man-to-man practice and that kind of thing. I think this year could be a huge step for him. I don't know though. We do have some people watching. Our good old faithful Thomas H.
There he is.
What's up, RotoHackers? Did my first mock draft this week. I have no draft plan right now.
I think this is what Thomas H says every year about no draft plan.
He never has a draft plan. And I don't have a feel for this upcoming season at all. I think he said the same thing last year. Except he obviously likes a little Pitts magic.
Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah. Kyle Pitts magic.
Yeah. It's confusing because he's got the Fitz magic photo with the Pitts magic.
Well, I know that Thomas H is a huge Falcons fan. I'd like to see what he thinks. I remember him asking me about, well, who would you take if you're the Falcons? They had the 4th pick, right?
Yeah.
Like
that, yeah.
I still think they should have gone with Najee Harris.
At pick 4?
Mm-mm.
Not worth it.
Nah.
Not worth it. Oh, yeah. Just trade up from the 2nd round at that point.
Yeah.
He went like 23.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I think there it was. What's going to suck for them is if AJ's guy Justin Fields turns out to be really great. There's going to be a lot of teams actually that are going to kick themselves that for not drafting. Maybe not the Falcons. Maybe not the Falcons. Falcons fans will, but maybe not the Falcons as much if Kyle Pitts becomes an elite tight end. But you're going to have a lot of teams in there that passed on a quarterback like Carolina. Carolina, Denver. I forget. There were several in there that needed a quarterback, and they're like, no, we don't really trust him. So I could very easily see Justin Fields doesn't have the same resume as Deshaun Watson, but like when Deshaun came along, which of course now that's turning into an entirely different can of worms because of off the field stuff, but purely based on talent and ability. When people were passing Deshaun, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people that regret this. And it was just the easiest thing to see coming. I never understood
why he fell to 10. Why?
I mean,
it made no sense.
There was no, it made no sense at all. There was nothing there that you could have wanted that he didn't have, and of course, again, now we talk about the off the field stuff, but at the time he was, A plus, so I never really understood. I mean, Fields, I get it a little bit more. There were, he doesn't have the same. It's not an apples to apples comparison with Deshaun, and he doesn't have the same resume. But I think there's enough there that a lot of teams are really going to kick themselves if he turns out to be really good. I'm surprised that one of them didn't get him. I can understand some, but I mean, for him to drop to like what the Bears traded up to like what 11? Yeah.
The
Giants who, man, if that turns out well, that'll be kind of funny.
Well, and that's another one is even the Giants themselves, so if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, I mean, and again, I don't know if he's really shown enough that you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is the guy that we want to go with. So you look at all those teams in there: Detroit, Carolina, Denver, and the Giants, and even a couple others that you could maybe make a case for. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, what about fantasy football? Are you guys like with your last round picking up any of these rookie guys, rookie quarterbacks to be exact?
I have in a couple leagues, but I think
Trevor, or who do you go with?
I got Trevor in one. Yeah. Some of the others, like if you're in a dynasty league, then I think it makes more sense to take somebody like Trey Lance or Justin Fields. But without knowing, it would be different if we knew they were starting right away. And which I guess we don't really know. We don't know for sure that Trevor's starting right away. But I find it hard to believe that they're going to start Gardner Minshew over him. It's not like you've got a veteran that you've made some sort of promise or commitment to like at least give them a shot.
Are you? Is that a joke directed at Chicago?
It's not really. I mean, it was just being serious, really. I mean, like it wasn't even a joke. It was, but I mean, it really was like pointed at like San Francisco and Chicago, where it's like Jimmy G and Andy Dalton. It's like, oh, okay, we'll give you, here's your one more shot, but we know how this is going to turn out. How many games before the sand runs out of the hourglass. So yeah, not just Chicago, but San Francisco too with Jimmy G. But so it's hard to take one of those, rookie quarterbacks, especially when sometimes people don't even take a second quarterback. I tend to take a second quarterback, but I don't really want it to be a roster spot for a rookie who's not even probably going to start right away, unless it's a deeper league or a dynasty league. So if I have a rookie quarterback anywhere, and I don't many places, but one or two spots, I've got Trevor Lawrence in these regular 10-team leagues.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, I'm typically taking more veteran quarterbacks later. Fitzpatrick, Ryan's value isn't too bad where he's going. But I'd rather have him as a starter than a backup. Baker Mayfield is QB 19 right now, which
but I was talking about
makes no sense, right? But which is what I'm about to say. So I like their value where I'm getting them at, which I know what kind of production I'm going to get out of them compared to. I don't know what Trevor Lawrence is going to do in Jacksonville. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to start. I don't know what Trey Lance is going to do. So I'd rather take one of them who at least I know is going to be a little more consistent. Sometimes maybe even Derek Carr, I take him sometimes as my last pick or whatever as a backup. I don't think the Raiders have the worst schedule in the world. So that's another one that I think could be decent as a backup. But I think the big thing is I don't know when half of the quarterbacks are going to start. Trevor Lawrence, I totally get. He's going to be a starting quarterback, not in the toughest division in football, but Fields and Lance, that's a gamble. It's a shot in the dark whether they're going to start at all. Fields more yes than no, but do I really want to have a guy sitting on my bench for the next 3 weeks that I don't know what's going to happen, especially if my team gets filled up with injuries?
What if it feels like you get him off the waiver wire? What were you saying?
I was just going to say, since we don't really talk much about the Raiders, there's not usually that much reason apart from Darren Waller to talk about them. One guy I will be interested to see if he takes a step forward, because I think that's really going to determine where his career kind of goes here, is Henry Ruggs. Because, we talked about this when it happened during the draft. We're like, man, I would not take Henry Ruggs over CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy, even as a real life decision, but then as a fantasy decision, it's sketchy there too. So, they I think drafted him, hoping for him to be their Tyreek Hill. Unfortunately, they don't have a Patrick Mahomes to throw to him, so that kind of complicates things. But I'll be interested to see if he's able to take a step forward, and because if not, then 2 years in and you're not really doing much, that's that doesn't bode super well for his career going forward.
I have seen people say look out for Ruggs, and who's the other wide receiver there?
Brian Edwards was the other rookie. But the problem, the other complication, I would feel better about it if they hadn't signed John Brown. So then like
3 deep ball receivers, great.
Yeah. And maybe they can sort of scheme the offense with Ruggs to be, again, kind of like this Tyreek Hill, where you can get him the ball in space and let him just go. I don't know. We'll see.
It's John Gruden. Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Raiders, because where are you taking
Jacobs?
Never.
Yeah, where are you taking Jacobs?
Never.
Yeah, mostly never. I took him in one league because he was a better value there, and then I immediately regretted it.
I just feel though that everybody's so down on him that this is
because of the stunt he pulled last year.
What? Just saying he
that's
doesn't
part
like
of it.
fantasy football?
No, it
saying
was-
he doesn't want to play. He's not going to play on Instagram. Do you remember that?
It
He
was where
banged up.
it was where he said he was out.
Yes,
for the
that's what it
game.
was. Yes.
Yeah, and then he was just like jerking people around.
And got a whopping 8
Oh,
points.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
I
He
think
has the skill though. He has the talent. And
He also has
who's
bum
behind him?
ankles.
Mm,
He's round 2 or 3
So what-
right now.
So what's scaring people away mainly is Kenyon Drake, and
There it is.
he's already injured though.
I haven't been following it that closely,
Yeah,
but
I didn't know that.
so basically the contract that they gave him, I think it not just the fact that they signed Kenyon Drake, but the contract they gave him like scared people into being like, oh, he's gonna get a fair amount of reps here. So I think that's that combined with the fact that LA, apart from the running game and the tight end, just isn't the most prolific offense. So if you put Josh Jacobs in the Chiefs offense and said, oh, okay, well, he's going to have to split with Kenyon Drake. Oh, not so bad. But in the Raiders offense, that's a little bit of a different situation. So I'm very much out on
Not taking him anywhere.
Drake.
Yeah.
No, I did again. I got him in that one league, and for just a split second, I was like, "Oh yeah," and then just immediate regret with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the last thing we need to talk about is we need to get a date on the board. A lot of people have been asking about. A lot of our old viewers are wondering, are we going to do the draft again? The viewer league last year was pretty popular.
Yeah.
And we want to do it again. So it's we should probably, in case there's any new viewers, so far there's not in, but if there's anybody that wants to join, I can put that in the comment section of this video and in the information. But what do you think next week about this time? Or you're working a lot of Saturdays?
Yeah,
right?
I'm working next Saturday, so I wouldn't be able to do next Saturday. I could do it in the afternoon, but I wouldn't be able to do it in the morning.
What does your next Saturday look like?
I mean, I'm okay, but I think we probably need to wait longer. I would say, because I mean, we still have plenty of time.
And we only got 6 people in the league right now, too.
Yeah, I would say let's do it more like 2 to 3 weeks out.
Do we have 3 weeks?
Yeah,
kind of close, right?
We do, because we have there's a gap between the last preseason game and the first regular season game. There's an extra week.
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost like what is it? Almost like 4 weeks until the season starts, or how long? Let's see here.
It's a little under 4.
Yeah. So
3 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks from this week, I think.
Let's see.
Well, let me at least put a time on the board here. A day. What is it called? RotoHackers Listener League. Yeah, we better. We only have 6 out of 12. Do we have 12 last time?
We did, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Probably only be 10 this year.
We'll see. See, maybe people join. If we build it, they will come.
Well, let me see what I have here. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say maybe 2 weeks out, because we're gonna have to find.
Yeah.
All right, let's do 2 weeks. We will do. We're doing live salary cap, right? Which is auction.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we are going to do a live online draft.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I got to pick a date. So maybe September 4th? Or maybe a Sunday would be better? September 5th.
Yeah, I don't know what other people's schedules.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Didn't last year you put like a Facebook message out for people to tell like what days were best for them or something like that, and then we kind of like picked one
that would be like a comment section or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I will just tacitly put the 5th. And just go from there.
Yeah. Okay.
The 5th at 1 or something there. So.
All right. We need to get all of our old people back from last year. We need Slanting Chubb back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have some of them, but I mean, some of them just kind of like stopped. A couple of them, I think, just like stopped right away.
Your buddy, what's his name?
It's called. We gotta get Cayman back in here.
No, because he stopped playing at some point.
No. That was Luke. That was Luke.
Luke.
Yeah,
our buddy. Yeah, Luke stopped playing. Yes.
Yeah. I think most of us stayed in the entire year. We got to get Math Quest back in.
Yeah.
7-10. We got to get the old crew back together.
Maybe we'll see if any of them are still around or if they've like, well, you guys didn't. We thought you weren't doing it anymore. You didn't.
We're dead. You didn't upload for 6 months. YouTube algorithm's gonna absolutely hate us.
Well, obviously it does. We got like 2 people.
Oh, I did see where we have 99 subscribers. So
that is true.
I could even just subscribe with my account and give us 100, and then at least we could have like the custom URL.
True.
Because don't you get that? Don't you get that at 100?
Is it 100 or 1,000? I can't remember.
I think Judah said 100, but he's probably wrong. So it probably is 1,000. So.
Oh my goodness. Let's see.
Yeah, probably wrong on that one.
100 or more subscribers.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I was right.
Let's go. See, now someone's just gonna spite us and unsubscribe as soon as Jared subscribes.
Oh, nobody's watching, so they can't. So let's see. All right, let me find it. Let's see here. I'm gonna subscribe because I don't think I'm subscribed with my account. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Jared.
So, There we go.
Not on the Discord. Discord. That's where we probably need to text everybody to.
There we go. I am our 100th subscriber.
Nice.
There it is.
Well, what do we change our URL to?
I mean, if it's available, I would say just
RotoHackers.
RotoHackers.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if anybody's on Discord, and I will put it on there. I'll put it on the comment section below here, and on Facebook, and we'll see what we can do.
Awesome.
Did you guys have anything else pressing? I'm being hectored by my work.
Oh,
so
Seth Sconiers, he's watching. He said, "Congrats on 100."
There he is. Let's go.
Seth, are you in the league? That's the big question. Are you going to draft with us?
Yeah, join the RotoHackers Listener League, man.
Let me put it in. Let me put the. It's I don't know who Seth is. Like as far as our pseudonyms.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think he was there last year.
I don't think he was in last year.
Expansion team, let's go.
Well, yeah. I mean, he can probably just. I doubt we're going to get all those 12 back. So I think probably.
Oh no, he can come. I'm just saying. I couldn't tell if he was already. So let me. Where's the draft?
I love how we're just like nobody's watching, and Seth comes in and saves our stream here. Thank you.
There's going to be a lot of after viewers. Yeah, people will catch it. People will catch the stream. Later.
Absolutely.
That's where we get a lot of streaming, not live streaming, but streaming later.
All right, live RotoHackers. There you go. Get the extra laugh in there. And I'm putting it in the comment section right now. Oh, can you put? You can't put. Come join. It doesn't put the. It won't let me put the link.
Could you do it? Could you do it from StreamYard?
Oh, that's what I probably should do.
It doesn't let you put a hyperlink in there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, maybe I just hit the wrong button.
Yeah, or I don't know, but don't you have to send it by invite anyway, or like maybe you could just
No, they can come. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I have to open up the invites or something. Seth, join our Facebook. Go to Facebook. Go to RotoHackers on Facebook. There's only one RotoHackers on Facebook. And join our league. I'm trying to figure out how to get it. So the only other thing we didn't talk about was Dak. Do you guys have any worries about Dak playing his best? I'll throw who's the Bengals quarterback?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I'll throw Joe Burrow in there. Like people coming off major injuries last year. Two quarterbacks that haven't really shown out this preseason.
Well, because Dak has had the shoulder thing now too, so that's why he hasn't really shown out because he's not 100%.
Yeah, I never really understood what happened with his shoulder.
Well, apparently it was due to his the tentativeness with his foot. Because you taking that step is really important for the shoulder and shoulder motion, and by not taking that confident step, what I heard, this was on the you guys ever the Pro Football Doc? He was talking about this. He was saying that he put extra strain on his shoulder and pulled something. Basically, just pulled a muscle.
Okay.
So it's like a soft tissue thing on his throwing arm, though. That's the problem. But they're being real secretive about it, of course.
Well, our star quarterback has another injury after being out for a full year. He's totally going to be fine by week 1, of course.
Who?
Dak. Of course he's going to be fine. Of course.
Yeah, the leagues where I have Trevor Lawrence are the ones where I drafted Dak. Drafted Dak as my yeah, I've got a couple of those. But then I've got a couple of those where like Dak is my number 2 QB because he was just so cheap. Once people started getting spooked by the injury. So yeah, that would be, but I mean, really, like we've said with quarterbacks, you can find other quarterbacks. The numbers, the numbers won't be the same as what Dak would put up in a Cowboys offense. But what is really scary there is for CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott, remembering what happened to their values last year when Dak was out. So, yeah.
Any other thoughts? Any other? How about Burrow? You guys, his connection with Chase.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase doesn't seem to be great. Jamar Chase, remember Jamar Chase didn't play any last year.
Right. Yep.
Well,
he's going 3 times higher than any other rookie wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah. In the drafts, he means.
Yeah. Jamar Chase is just leagues above everybody else in wide receiver rankings.
Yeah, because I mean, people are assuming that he's just going to have that instant connection with Joe Burrow again. It's Joe Burrow worries me because he's, we haven't seen him yet, and I don't know what the plan is on him playing in the preseason or not. Because I knew last year when they talked about it, it seemed like he was going to be a little bit pushed to get back right away. But it worries me a little bit. He's not a big guy. He's sort of in an Aaron Rodgers type body mold, and we've seen how Aaron Rodgers has got banged around. Both sort of mobile, and then that can lead to some. They're just like mobile enough, they're not like great rushing quarterbacks or whatever, but they're mobile enough. And Cincinnati's history with protecting quarterbacks and stuff like that. So Burrow does worry me. And there again, I mean, not for him as much as what it does then to the value of T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. And Boyd's someone who's probably underrated in where he's going right now. Because, I mean, people are assuming that it's going to be like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and then Tyler Boyd. I think it's probably not going to be that way. I think, Jamar Chase had like 3 bad drops
on all 3 of his targets.
Yeah, in last night's preseason game. And you think hasn't been around in a year. And so yeah, I think Jamar Chase is going a lot higher. Like, and even like fantasy, so-called fantasy experts like Andy Behrens, who I normally have, normally really agree with his picks and stuff like that. I think Matthew Berry may have had him up really high at 1.2. I mean, they had him like low 20s, like 21, 22 on receiver rankings, like ahead of guys like T. Higgins and a lot of these other guys. And I'm like, man, that seems awfully high for someone. I know he's got that connection with Burrow, but stepping into a place that's already got Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins.
Yep.
And since then I've seen them, dropping him down a little bit. I think I have him. I just want to check this to see. I think I maybe only have him in like 1 league, just because again, it's not somebody that I was really trying to avoid. Yeah, I have him in 1 league because I think I was able to get him fairly cheap in an auction draft. But just because he's been cost prohibitive, people are just keep paying up for him or drafting him higher than I think is really safe to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd rather take a chance on like Rondell or Ezekiel Moore. Just because they're
Elijah
cheaper.
Moore.
Yeah. Just so much cheaper. And yeah, you probably won't get the same kind of athleticism and that kind of like, he might not be. I think people are expecting Jamar Chase to be Julio Jones, right off the bat.
Yeah.
So we've talked Colts and Bears, but we haven't heard anything about the Packers from you. So what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers?
Man, dude, look,
Devontae's not re-signing.
It couldn't be better right now. Devontae's going to sign. Like when he came out and blasted everybody and basically said, "I'm coming back," and it just, he was a hero. Just became the hero that he really is. I loved it, and I'm glad he's back. I'm glad for my fantasy team that where I have Adams in particular. I think he's being underrated too for fantasy. I feel
he's going pick 9.
Are you talking Devontae? Are you talking Devontae or Aaron Rodgers?
I'm sorry. I'm talking about Rodgers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Rodgers is underrated for fantasy as far as somebody like instead of picking up like you're talking about, picking up Ryan. I'd much rather have Rodgers, and I think he's gonna. He could easily be the number 1 QB again, or top 5.
True. Yeah, which
it's not like he has worse weapons, right?
Yeah,
and I
his
think
weapons actually got better because now you've got people over MVS.
Who's their number 2 receiver now? Didn't they
Lazard and then I think Randall Cobb, right?
That's who they got.
Well, got Randall Cobb, but the dude is going to be out there on a wheelchair. I think Rodgers, their rookie, is going to really shine. I think they got a steal with them.
Who's he? You probably don't remember his first name. Let me see if I can.
Rodgers,
Amari
Rodgers.
Amari Rodgers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know really. Interesting.
And you know how Rodgers likes to throw to Rodgers. It's that,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that narcissistic tendency. He just wants to throw another Rodgers.
Which
Another A Rodgers.
Another A Rodgers. True. Maybe
So-
we could pull a fast one on some people in an auction draft and put A Rodgers for starting $20 and see if anybody will bite.
Ooh, that's a bad idea.
Well, people used to do that with the one I always remember was
Yeah.
there was a Rams wide receiver named Michael Thomas, and someone would nominate him for $1, and sometimes people would bite, sometimes they wouldn't. But one time it got up to like $25, and I was just like, oh, that is awkward. That's actually a funny idea, though. I might. I don't know. I don't know if I want to waste a roster spot on that, but part of me does want to now nominate A Rodgers. I'll have to see how the naming looks in there, or if they spell it out. I see how easy it would be to fool somebody with that. So one thing one thing we talked about, I think, while you were off at one point, Judah, was AJ Dillon. What do you think he's being undervalued, or what do you see from him this year?
I think he's being undervalued, just in the sense that I think he's got really good skill, and if Jones goes down, he's gonna be a tremendous value.
Yeah.
So like it's somebody else's handcuff type thing. I don't think I don't really know how he's gonna fit into the offense.
That's my question. That's my question, because Jamal Williams, when they did the thing with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams was more of the receiving back, when they needed that. Whereas, that's not AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon's more of a, big power guy. So does Aaron Jones? I mean, I know he's not going to slide. They're not going to flip flop roles where Dillon becomes Aaron Jones and Aaron Jones becomes Jamal Williams, but I wonder if he might get some goal line carries, or just I don't understand exactly how they're going to use those two together, since they're not. I don't want to say they're not as complementary as Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, but it's a different type of complementary,
Well, and the other thing is that, and maybe this has to do with that confusion for me, is that Jamal Williams was excellent pass blocker.
Oh.
And so that's why he was in for a lot of the passing downs, and that's why he caught a lot of the passes, is because he was in there to block, and maybe rolled off and got a little slant. So that may be something that has. I don't think. Who are we talking about again? What's his name?
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon. I could even picture anybody. AJ Dillon. I don't think he's as good as a pass blocker. And I think, like you said, he's just there to be just a rammer. And he's got some good skill when it comes to, he's got a little wiggle and vision. But mainly he's just a strong dude who can actually, I did see something about his pass catching ability being better than people think.
Interesting.
So he might just fall into that role. It'd be weird though.
That would be weird. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, just curious. So you don't, and you don't think we'll see? I kind of want to see Jordan Love. I don't want Aaron Rodgers to be hurt or anything, but I would like for. I would really be curious to just see a game of Jordan, like an actual game, not preseason game, of Jordan Love starting, to see what would happen. Because he's sort of like we said with Eason too, where he's not a rookie, but for all intents and purposes, really is sort of a rookie. So,
and he did fine. I think he did really well. The problem is he got banged up.
Yeah,
I think he had like a little something, and I don't know. It's been it's just been hard to tell how good he really is. But I heard some pretty good remarks about him from some of the guys I trust, saying that he did really well. Who is it? I was listening. Do you guys ever listen to the Pat McAfee show?
Oh yeah.
Once in a while, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Pat was saying that he really thought he did well. I had like poise. Of course, Pat, I don't know. He's not really somebody I trust for like the technicals. But it's somebody who's been in the league and he has pretty interesting takes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
And he's hilarious.
It's funny to watch them talk about like their take on Tebow, because they like Tebow. And so just following that whole thing, like I think that's what kind of got me onto their show. And watching the show, them talking about Tebow and the dramatic end,
That actually reminds me. Speaking of Tebow, I don't know if you guys know this. Did you guys ever play NFL fantasy before? Like an actual NFL website fantasy?
NFL.com?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so that's where I started for Yahoo, and so they have like a section where you can just send out a question to all the other fantasy players. It's like just this giant poll site, and people could vote on who you should start. So like community voting for who you should start instead. So as a joke, I would always throw up like start 2, Andrew Luck, Josh Freeman, or Tim Tebow, and just figure out what answers I would get when 2 of them are out of the league. Nice. Very interesting responses there.
Yeah. Yeah, Tebow, it was not going to happen. So we got some jersey sales and a nice little bit of reminiscing about the old days. But other than that, and he had a bad block in his preseason game, so we'll always have that. But I think this was the last time we'll see Tim Tebow in an NFL uniform. He's off to the NHL now.
that would be great.
I really just want to see him like try to break into like the G League and the NBA, just like every time, and then just every time, just be like, no, it's my dream to be, to do this.
All right, guys. Well, I got to take off. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but we're at the about 2-hour mark.
I actually got one last question for you guys, though.
Yeah.
There's this really interesting player right below Jalen Waddle and right above Elijah Moore on Yahoo's rankings at 52. That's Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that? Because I know right now he's on the pup list, but I mean, if he comes back and you're getting him in round like 12, that's not bad, but it is Michael Thomas, so anything could happen. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I kind of got. He is like in auction drafts. I've seen him go for like $2, and just like people are so
really.
Yeah, and I'm dead serious. Like more than once, I think. People are just so down on him for a variety of stuff. I mean, I think.
Wow.
I think the biggest thing being, last year he was hurt so much. I know last year I just got so tired of not knowing, okay, are you coming back? When are you coming back? And then when he did come back, he had, a few big games, but he had one touchdown in like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, one touchdown in 9 games. So I think it's a combination of him just constantly being hurt and getting people who got burned last year of like, oh, this is the week. No, next week's the week. And then that just went on for two months. Drew Brees is gone. He's having a lot of problems with the team, not knowing when he's coming back, the down production last year. So he is being undervalued. And I think too, maybe if, I don't know, you've got two pup spots on your fantasy rosters that you can use with Yahoo.
I forgot.
So that's another option too. Although I think people are still kind of worried about how many of these how often are we gonna have to take these up with COVID and stuff. And so he is undervalued, but man, is it hard for me to want to pay much of anything for him.
Yeah, I think the thing that scares me the most is his relationship with Sean Payton. I mean, I don't know who's at fault, but they really were not. They were fighting, right? Like
Yeah.
he hid from them that he was going to get the surgery. That ticked Sean Payton off. I mean, that does not bode well for his playing well on the team or even playing on the team come October or whenever he's off the pup list.
Yeah.
So if he goes to another team, I mean, even if he goes to let's say he goes to Philadelphia, then he's got to learn the system. I don't know. I don't know. It would be if he comes back. If it seems like he's coming back to the team, everything's like mwah, kiss kiss, everything's okay. Yeah, let's fire him up. But man, I just don't see that right now. It seems like bad blood right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I mean, after hearing you guys talking about him, I'm thinking get a little just like the last guy I put. If he's still there, well, I guess when you say he's going in the 11th round,
I don't know what
something like that, 11, 12, yeah.
Yeah, and auction drafts. I mean, it's just been dirt cheap in some drafts.
I think I would rather take him in an auction if I can get him for $2. Like that's worth it to me. $2 out of $200. Yes, I'll do that. But 11th round pick to me is I'd rather have one of those rookies.
I think too, just like it gets harder for me. Like I tend to be like really analytical and detached emotionally from stuff, but for whatever reason, I think as I get older and I get burned by some of these fantasy players, I'm just like, no, I can't do it with you again. I dealt with you last year. It'd be one thing if we weren't already starting off on this foot. But I'm just looking through my auction drafts. So it's like $1 or $2 above what I was saying. Like one, he was $3 in one, $4 in one, $2 in one. So, but I don't know. At the same time, some of those you can get a guy for like 6 or 7. So I think it just kind of depends.
Yeah. But you can sneak him on. I mean, the idea, I guess what really got me is when you talk about sneaking him on your pup, on your pup IR or whatever. Like that's kind of attractive to me to like just pay a couple dollars from him and throw him on there and then go out and get some other, wild card or, some high upside guy.
Yeah.
So I'm free to meet again next week if you guys want to meet. Maybe not at the same time since you can't meet at the same time. Maybe in the evening or something.
Yeah,
we will be meeting again.
Yeah, that works for me if I could do that later, but it's up to y'all.
Yeah, we can figure it out. We don't have to figure it out right now.
Yeah,
let's shoot for next Saturday in case anybody's listening. Next Saturday in the afternoon.
We can post it in the description or after we decided or whatever. So.
Okay, last comment. Last year I was depressed going into the season. This year, just clueless.
Yeah. I feel that.
Hey, all right, guys. Thank you so much for assembling again, and let's do it again soon.
Yes.
Thank you for everybody watching.
Join our league.
Link
is in the live chat.
Live chat, and I'll put it in the description and in the whatever it's called.
Facebook, Discord section. Yes, Facebook, Discord, comments everywhere. Everywhere.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend, guys. We'll talk to you later. It was the fake out goodbye in case you guys want to say goodbye now.
Oh, we're still live. Bye.